So let's take it away. Case study number 2.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And I think you've done a great intro or segue. Since I opened up my own shop about 10 years ago, about 70% of my business has been working with services, professional services businesses, whether they be consultancies, accountancies, architectural firms, digital agencies, you name it, and even advertising agencies. So I come from that world. I'm known as a bit of an expert in assisting businesses of this sort. And this was my second client after I'd hung out my shingle. I continue to work with them to this day, which is a fantastic relationship. I've seen their evolution and nearly exponential growth. They were just injected with a ton of private equity. They're doing some really, really cool stuff. They're in a space that we're still struggling to define because they're almost creating it as they go. So a great challenge for a professional like myself, but in broad strokes, they come from the loyalty world. In fact, their parent company, which they broke away from years ago, is credited with the idea of when you opened up a bank account, you got a toaster that goes back that far. When you cut your 50 years with the company, you got a gold watch. So, this company's lineage goes way back, but this was the Canadian operations, and it broke away from the US parent because it really wanted to do some cool stuff. As it turned out, the Canadian entity was more progressive than the American, and they were beginning to compete for clients in North America. So it was almost making no sense. So I didn't know it at the time, but I rebranded this company from X to Y, and they have just exploded in the past 10 years. As I say, I've done multiple projects with them. On 2 occasions, I was their outsourced CMO. I love working with them. They're very complex, and I'm currently working with them now. They have 2 tech offers, 2 specific technology offers, primarily in loyalty, but you could say experience and customer improvement. Once again, it gets not nebulous, it gets broad. And that's the challenge of really trying to articulate their offer. But one of them is, a significant loyalty platform or engine. So we all have, they say, most North Americans have, or the average North American belongs to something like, 9 or 12 loyalty, clubs from brands. So could you imagine our wallets, right? If we had all of those plastic cards in them, and for years we did. So this one offer basically takes care of all of that. It manages each customer's portfolio of points, portfolio of interactions and touch points with the company. So that's a significant piece of technology that several major brands are using to power the guts of their loyalty tracking and business. The second technology offer that they have is pretty new. They launched in January, February. It's AI driven, and we're all scared of that stuff, but I actually think it makes total sense in the loyalty and customer experience area. AI will revolutionize this space. There's no doubt about it. So what this one does, if that's sort of the base, the one I mentioned previously, this one is the brain. So arms and legs and brains. And the brains here, I was taken through a demo on an existing client. And I just couldn't believe what popped out, in terms of anticipating the client need, providing copy for advertising, providing an idea of frequency of touch, providing an idea of benefits, promotions, deals. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm in the process of developing 2 go-to-market strategies, because these could be bundled together or sold separately, these 2 technology offers. And it's also got to ladder up, to the master brand or the overall professional services brand, because where they differentiate in operations is they're like a Deloitte, they're like an Accenture, they've got research and consulting services, and then they're selling their own proprietary technology.
Yep.
And that pits them against basically everyone out there. So they've got a range of competitors.
So I'm gonna pick your brain on the go-to-market plan as you bring this to life. When I do these things, there's essentially there's all the stuff I've learned in the past that I can just access. It's like a library of marketing learnings. And then for every go-to-market plan, there is the unknown. The category is reinventing itself. The marketplace has changed. As you navigate that process, where are you in that, walking that line, between that, I already know how to solve this problem versus like jury's still out?
Well, the secret in any consulting methodology is completing it, because if we run to a solution, which we all think we're the most brilliant, and I remember working way back at Price Waterhouse and reporting to the country managing partner for marketing, And he would say at the beginning of every engagement, I know exactly how many, back then it was a little bit about cost cutting in the 90s. I know how many people are going to be cut. I know how we're going to rejig things. I know that how much this is going to save them. And, the guy was shockingly accurate many times, but most of the time he wasn't. You have to go through the process. So I too, when I started this project, I was running to almost like Don Draper and Mad Men. I was running to like taglines before a strategy, right? I was thinking, oh, I'll have this licked and I'm going to work from the solution back and prove my thesis with the research rather than my research forming a thesis. So, but the difference between why I suggested this makes a lot of sense. The go-to-market plan we know was originally structured for new product and service offerings, but I actually don't even do traditional marketing plans anymore. I find them backward thinking, backward looking for sure. Oh, what did we do last year? Well, let's just pump up, this line item 10%. We'll take 3% out of this. We'll pump more into our digital. You almost get into an annual planning cycle that is dumb, that really doesn't have the fresh thinking or intelligence to it. If you can get into the mindset of a go-to-market plan for your entire business, and there's two benefits to go-to-market as I see them, is they're forward-thinking and they're fast. So you're getting the results back right away so you can iterate. And the biggest difference is a traditional marketing plan resides in the marketing department and no one else gives a crap about it. A go-to-market, by its construct, is supposed to be layered across the entire organization, and that there's ownership or at least buy-in to it and everyone knows what's going on. And here we go. Thematically, we're back to organizational design again. It's really about making sure that your brand isn't siloed and that your marketing, in this case, the go-to-market, is a driving engine for this.
Yeah. It's so funny that you mentioned the budgeting process for marketers, right? Like when I worked for bigger companies, I'd say most fell into the following two scenarios. Hey, we're doing really great. Let's spend 10% more money. Ooh, we're not doing so great. 10% reduction. Those were the two marketing strategies that seemed to be pursued. That absolutely made no sense, but it was very convenient in the annual budgeting process where you weren't really upsetting anyone or taking risks. So I'm with you. I love marketing plans. When I was working at an agency, I once had a client that they just said, you know what? For the next year, we're actually just doing some internal rebuilding. Therefore, we don't really need anything and we're not going to spend any money. And that was really refreshing, not great to hear as a service provider, but I kind of appreciated that, is to say, yeah, just you're doing nothing, spend that money now in different ways and then come back when you're ready.
I think what's changed in marketing in my over 2 decades, of course, is speed. Speed has been the biggest thing. And, we used to report quarterly and we'd look at a budget or a plan annually. And I had a real wake-up call about 6-7 years ago. I was working with now the leading performance marketing and advertising company in the US, just knocking the lights out in both revenue. It's stayed independent. Everyone's tried to buy it. But I happened to be there. So they're performance marketing. They're working with hotel companies, the Expedias, Amazons, and where everything is that moment. And I happened to be there on Black Friday and Cyber Monday in their office. And in their office, which is beautiful, they have the ability to almost expand it twice its size because on that particular shopping weekend, given all their clients, they have individuals from client organizations coming in, sitting side by side with their folks and monitoring the data, right? Because that, 72-hour plus shopping cycle right there, I don't know what that's constituting for a lot of revenue of some of these companies, but, 4 days could be 12% of the year, it's absolutely incredible what's packed into those 4 days. So I just watched the speed of it. Now, from a creative standpoint, there's a lot being lost in the speed of marketing now. We're attracted to shiny new toys. We've got AI. I laugh and everyone goes, this is going to kill this business and do this business. And 10 years ago, we're talking about big data, and companies had reams of information. The visual is paper, but of course it was all digital. And what did they do with it? Nothing. They were inundated with data and they didn't know how to use it. So, shiny new toys are great. I love new channels. I love the ability to play, plug and play. But at the end of the day, you got to have something compelling, interesting, and relevant to say.